Unless the Lord builds the house, they labor in vain who build it. Unless the Lord guards the city, the watchman stays awake in vain. Unless the Lord plants a church and builds it, it shall eventually fail. You remember what he said in Matthew chapter 6. He said, I will build my church, and the gates of hell shall not prevail against it. The gates of hell are prevailing against many churches, many denominations, because God is not the one that planted those churches. They were planted by men. I've been involved in such things, so I know what I'm talking about. Sometimes your big ogas just want they want to know that you have performed. So you say, I planted 4 churches. And how did you plant the 4 churches? You merely just divided your own church into how many and put the 4 churches there. At least those ones are growing. There are some where they will plant the church, they'll just carry husband and wife, throw them to one corner and say, go and do church. Nothing is happening there, just the husband and his wife and his children every Sunday, clapping their hands under a tent. Then they will take report to their headquarters and say, we planted so-and-so church. This is the pastor of the church. This is this. The man will be ordained. The man is happy he's ordained. But it's just him and his wife and his children. He has not evangelized anybody. The way we are doing things is as if unless we must have a church. Can't we go out and just evangelize and just speak to people? Must we have a building? Remember the way we started church planting? It was in our sitting room. We all gathered on Sunday, then we'll go out, we'll share the word of God, or sometimes we gather together, because in fact, when I first started, the people that were sent with me, none of us, myself inclusive, were all left legs. So we had to start from looking at what the word of God is even saying to us in the first place, before we can say we are going out to start church. What we have today is transfer growth. Somebody even wrote something and said, if you plant a church, and all you are focused on, they said one church, they planted a church opposite another church, and then the church that came newly to plant itself opposite this other church, his own evangelism was to go into another church and be looking for how to get their members to come to their own place. What are we doing? Isn't that madness? When I said that lukewarmness is madness, some people say, that's too heavy. It is not. It's madness. Today, in our churches, all kinds of things. There's a church in America that is going to experience a church split over the issue of homosexual marriage or no homosexual marriage. A group says, no, they believe that there must be homosexual marriage. The other group says, no, nothing like homosexual marriage. So that church is going to split. I heard that church split before on the issue of slavery. One group in the church said, there's nothing wrong with slavery. Another group said, there's something wrong with slavery. So they split. Then later they saw their error and said, okay, let's come back together. So they are now united again. Suddenly again, they are going to split on the issue of homosexuality. And we say we have a church.